Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. So I have not posted in a very, very long time. The last time that I posted was in 2020. It is currently 2021. I'm sorry. For Christmas, I got this beautiful little leopard gecko. Her name is Banana. So I'm just going to be labeling some facts about leopard geckos. The first thing is they're nocturnal. So don't wake them 24/7 in the day. I know it's exciting. Like play with them in the morning or late at night. They do come out at night. So if you're like, oh my god, I caught my leopard gecko out at night, but they don't come out at day, they're nocturnal. Okay. But we're going to talk about their diet. Okay. So some people in pet stores especially mess up when they only give the leopard geckos a diet of waxworms and maybe crickets. So crickets are healthy, but you have to powder them with the D3 supplement powder. You should know that if you're going to end up being a leopard gecko owner or really any kind of gecko owner. So you shouldn't feed them waxworms constantly because they're very fatty and it's kind of like a once in a while treat. Even if your gecko is super skinny or it's a rescue gecko, you only want to give them a couple because it can kind of overpower their system. Another way to tell if they're healthy is they'll have the nice thick tail that holds in their food. And then tank size, the adults should be in a 15 to 20 gallon tank. 20 is the max for an adult leopard gecko. Sorry if you hear screaming in the background. My brother's throwing a little fit. But, and then the babies can live in 10-gallon tanks until they get to an appropriate size. They have to have at least 2 to 3 different places to hide. She prefers her hut because it traps in the heat because her heat pad's under. So heat pad, heat lamps. I would prefer a heat pad because, like, the huts can trap in the heat. You don't want complete contact with the leopard gecko on their skin because they can also tear it open and it can get them sick. And so, like, I have mine literally on the bottom of her tank, not even, like, in the tank perimeter. And I don't use any kind of substrate. I use a tan liner for it. She has a pretty big water dish. So when we talk about water dishes, it needs to be big enough for them to get in. I don't want anybody to really freak out if their leopard geckos put their heads in the water. It's either when they're going in a shed like she does it, she'll dip her head in and out like a bird kind of. Another thing is if you're giving them too much calcium powder, she has a little Gatorade bottle cap full of her supplement powder because it's good to get them a little extra. They'll go up to it if they want and eat it or lick it up. But if you have too much in their armpits, she actually just went into shed a couple days ago, but by their armpits, it'll kind of be like a little ball. And it tells you that you're giving them too much calcium powder because that's where all the calcium powder is being stored. So you will just want to cut down. It's not going to affect them at all, but if you keep giving them the same amount, it may. So you just want to kind of cut it a little short. But don't not powder the food because then they can't digest it and they won't be getting the real. I'm not saying that the crickets don't give them nutrients, but it gives them a lot of nutrients to have the powder on their food. So like her diet, again, we're going to talk and go back into the subject of diet. You can give them one kind of bug, but it shouldn't be for a long period of time. Like, if I were to just feed her crickets, she wouldn't be getting all the nutrients that she needs. That's why she has mealworms and crickets. You always want to make sure that they're powdered. So how to help them shed is there's these things called a human hide. You may or may not know what that is. Where you take a container and you basically just soak a paper towel. Not a towel or anything. Paper towels give them the right substance and whatnot, and it'll help them shed, and they'll go in there and they'll shed, but you have to leave them alone. Another thing is kind of giving them places to hide again, and how the amount of crickets. For babies, that's a different story. I will be posting some stuff about that, but What we just forgot what I was about to say. They need multiple places to hide, or else they're not going to feel comfortable in places for them to get out, because they are nocturnal. They're way, way, way more active out. Now, getting your gecko used to being handled. That's another big thing that lots of owners probably want. You know, they want their gecko to be happy being held. She is still getting used to it. I've had her since Christmas, so not very long. It's January, and the first month of the year, because, you know. So I've only had her for maybe a month or two. Probably not even a month yet. So it's definitely important that you get some bonding time in with your gecko. If you want, okay, like that's not really my problem. But to get them used, this sounds a little weird, but you can sit in a bathtub with them with blankets. Now, because leopard geckos need to stay warm because they can't regulate their body temperature because they are cold-blooded, I have her under blankets on my legs, and she'll curl up against me and keep herself warm. So leopard geckos also do not have toe pads. Another reason why you want them in the bathtub with you too is they can get used to being around you. So just let them roam, let them do whatever they want. But again, they don't have toe pads, so you need to be very careful. Like, she can crawl up fabric and my skin sometimes. Hello, thank you. But you still want to just give them a little support when they're new to climbing. Babies especially, it's very good to work with babies when you're trying to get them used to being handled, because they grow up knowing like who you are and when they get handled and how to act when they get handled. Another thing is, as some people might call it, or I call it, a scream for help. When leopard geckos are feeling threatened, they kind of make a little squeaking sound, or any kind of like a croak sound, telling you that they're feeling threatened. So if she were to get threatened, I would let her sit out. I wouldn't let her run off. Like, if I was just sitting on the floor, I wouldn't let her run off. But in the bathtub, if she got threatened because she didn't like me holding her, just let her walk around, let them get used to it, let them cool off. Now, another thing to help your gecko shed is put them in water. Now, she absolutely hates water, and she gets very mad at me, and she probably feels threatened when I do it to her. So when I was helping her peel off her shed yesterday, which you shouldn't help them 24/7, like, this is my first time helping her shed. She's only got a couple toes left to get the shed off of, and it's too small for me. Especially if you have tweezers, that's the perfect way to help them get it off. Now, when they do shed, you have to be careful because, well, if the stuck shed gets stuck on their toes or the tip of their tail, pieces of it will fall off, because it's like a hair tie on our wrist or a really tight bracelet. Like, if it cuts off our circulation, our hand will turn purple and it'll fall off. So it's kind of like the same thing for them. Obviously, it doesn't affect them a ton if they lose their toes, but it doesn't mean that it's okay. They do have claws. She is a tangerine leopard gecko, and so she's got a couple spots. Now, that's basically all I really have to say. I will probably do a second video on them. If y'all have any questions, just put them down in the comments. And she's like, why am I out? Also, you have to be super gentle, because your leopard gecko will become really flinchy. Her head is like moist because she's been dipping in the water and it's just been shed off. They will sometimes eat their shed, I believe. I give her like 7 to 8 crickets. Maybe. She's spoiled. You're supposed to feed them 2 to 3 days. She's very spoiled and gets fed basically every day. But it's also good to kind of control the cricket amount and make sure, like, we have a cricket catcher, and I'm going to pause the video and actually bring it to you to show you how we do it. Okay, so I'm back. So here's the cricket thing. This is very nice. It's called a cricket catcher. It's got the leafy greens that we got, and then it's got the sponge which comes with it. So the tubes you can pull out, and it's good to control the amount of crickets that you're giving your gecko. So kind of like sometimes I give her like 7 or 8 crickets and then kind of cut it down slowly. Kind of like when they're in the wild, they don't get 7 or 8 crickets or other stuff like frequently, unless they're very good hunters or a spot that they're hunting. So that's basically all I have to say for this video. Again, if you all have any questions, I'll be super happy to help you all. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I hope you all really enjoyed this video, and I hope that I helped you.